Hello and good morning, everybody. What is up, and welcome back if you're new here. I'm Liz, and this is Korean Crime Time. I'm your host. I sit down, I talk about some true crime, and yeah, sometimes there's art involved. So, if you like my content, if you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much. If you are a person that is viewing my videos and just keeps forgetting to subscribe, hit that red subscribe button, turn your bell notification on all, and let's get into today's true crime case. Let's start with a question, shall we? Who put Bella in Which Elm? Yes, my friends, we are talking about Bella in Wych Elm in England. Finally, we are discussing the elephant in the room. Who put Bella in Wych Elm? I know I just said that question 3 times, but I really like this question. Now, the skeletonized remains were discovered in 1943. So this was a long ass time ago. As it's 2022 now, that happened in 1943. So I mean, 53, 63, 73, 83, 93, 2003, 2013. So it's been almost 80 years since this happened. So 79 years ago is when she was discovered. Wow, that's so strange. Wow. All right, so let's get into when she was discovered, shall we? 4 boys: Robert Hart, Thomas Willits, Bob Farmer, and Fred Payne. Now, they were poaching, or bird nesting as they like to call, in Hagley Wood. This was on the 18th of April of 1943. Now, Hagley Wood is a part of the Hagley estate, which belonged to Lord Cobham. This is near Witchbury Hill, which they came across a large wych elm. A wych elm is a type of tree. And basically, it's like these trees, they're pretty massive. They're also found, a lot of them are found in Greece and Iran, and they're a very large deciduous tree. So they thought that this was a good location to search for birds' nests. So Bob, he attempted to climb the tree to investigate. And as he climbed, he then glanced down into the hollow trunk, and this is when he discovered a skull. Now, at first, he thought that it was an animal skull, but then he realized, no, that's not an animal skull. That's a human skull. There was hair and teeth. And he then was like, fuck, I found a human skull. And as they were on the land illegally, he then puts the skull back, and all 4 of the boys end up going home without mentioning anything to anybody. However, the youngest boy, now Thomas Willits, who was the youngest there, he felt severely uneasy about what he had witnessed, and he decided to report it to his parents, which was good. So, obviously, the police are informed. They find almost a complete skeleton with a shoe, a gold wedding ring, some fragments of clothing. And the skull is the most valuable piece of evidence that they have, because it still had some tufts of hair on it, had clear dental pattern, and even with it missing some teeth, it was all of it's intact. But part of a hand was found some distance away from the tree. So that's the only part that wasn't really near the tree. So this set of remains was sent for examination by a man named James Webster. Now, he was quick to establish that this was a female who had been dead for at least 18 months. So that brings her death to 1941. And it would place it in October, on or before October of 1941. Now, he also discovered that it was a section of taffeta in her mouth. Taffeta is a type of fabric that's commonly found on wedding dresses, or prom dresses. It's the floofy fabric underneath that pushes the outer fabric up, so it gives it shape. And he suggested that she had died from suffocation. So from the measurement of her they ended up like looking in the tree where she was discovered, and he deduced that the skeleton was placed there still warm after she was killed, and basically that she couldn't fit if rigor mortis had taken hold before she was put in there, because when you're in rigor, your body, like, see how tough my hand is right here? If you're in rigor, I can't move any of this. Your body is stiff because everything retracts. And when you're freshly killed, you're easily manipulated. Hence why people are able to put people in suitcases and stuff like that. Because once rigor sets in, it's hard for you to actually move their body because they're stiff. Sorry if that creeped anybody out, but that's the truth. They can also tell, like, from the items found with this skeleton, what she might have looked like. But with so many people that are reported missing during World War II, there's too many, like, ways to properly identify her. Because there's so many missing people at this time. Not everything is as advanced as it should be. So it's harder for them to properly identify her. They do cross-reference some details they had of like reports of missing people throughout the region, but none of them seem to match any of the evidence that they had. And they also contacted dentists all over the country, since it was quite distinctive dentistry that happened with her teeth, but nothing again. So the following year, 1944, there ends up being some graffiti related to her mystery appearing on the Upper Dean Street wall in Birmingham. And it read, "Who put Bella in Which Elm?" And then Hagley Wood. Now, they didn't have a name for her. So this is now, holy shit, she has a name. And why is somebody doing this? So this would end up giving investigators some new leads for tracing who she could have been. There was also other messages, like, in the same handwriting that appeared after this. And since the 1970s, similar graffiti has been sporadically placed and appeared. One of which is at the Hagley obelisk, near where her body was discovered, which simply asks, who put Bella in Which Elm? They did do a facial reconstruction of her, which was put on a television program called Nazi Murder Mysteries, and her facial reconstruction was done at the Liverpool John Moores University at the Face Lab. And this was done by just photographs of the skull. They were able to do a facial reconstruction for her. There is some theories when it comes to who this could be, because they still obviously don't know. One of which, a man named Steve Punt suggested that she could be one of two possible victims. One is a victim who was reported to the police in 1944 by a fellow sex worker in Birmingham. In the report, she stated that another worker named Bella, who worked on Hagley Road, had disappeared 3 years prior. Now, the name Bella or Lou Bella suggested that the graffiti writer was probably aware of who she was. That's the first possibility. The second one was a statement made to police in 1953 by Una Massip, in which she said that her ex-husband Jack had confessed to family members that he and a Dutchman named Van Ralt had put a woman in a tree. And so during this, they met for a drink at the Littleton Arms, which is a pub in Hagley. Later that night, Massip said that the woman they were with became drunk and she passed out while they were driving. They then put her in a hollow tree in the woods in hope in the morning she would wake up and be frightened by what she sees. Jack was then confined to a mental hospital because he had recurring dreams of a woman staring out at him from a tree. He died in the hospital before the body in Which Elm was found, though. The likelihood of this being the correct explanation of what happened um, is highly unlikely, but we don't really know because Una came out 10 years after Jack died. So it's like, another theory comes from an MI5 declassified file about Joseph Jacobs. Now, he was the last man to be put to death in the Tower of London on the 15th of August of 1941. He was an agent who parachuted from Cambridgeshire in 1941, but he broke his ankle while he landed. He was then arrested by a home guard. Now, in his stuff, a photo of his lover, which was a German cabaret singer, was seen, and her name was Clara Bowerl. We're going to guess it Bowerl. Now, Joseph said that she was being trained as a spy and that he had made contact with her and she might have been sent over to England after him. However, there's no evidence of her or that she parachuted into England, and several witnesses described Clara as being 6 feet tall, which Bella was only 5 feet. So it was determined also that Clara died in Berlin in 1942. On the 16th of December of 1942. So another one, in 1945, a woman, Margaret Murray, she is an anthropologist and archaeologist at the University College in London. She proposed a more radical theory, which I'm guessing you guys are probably wondering where the satanic thing comes in. She introduces the idea of witchcraft. She believes that the severing of one hand was consistent with a ritual called the Hand of Glory. Now, after the victim had been killed by gypsies during an occult ritual. Now, her idea excited the press. They were so excited by this because nobody had brought up, well, what's with the hand thing? Well, it led them to another ritualistic killing of a person. Now, this was of Charles Walton in a nearby village of Lower Quinton. Now, this one, this is fun. This is fun. Yeah. So, where is it? So, 2 years after they find her, there's connections made to the death of Charles Walton. Now, this happened in Warwickshire. That's the bigger area. He was a suspected warlock, and he died from being slashed with a billhook and pinned to the ground with a pitchfork as a part of an apparent satanic ritual. But this case is too wild. They didn't understand how to put two and two together. They really didn't. And they were kind of mortified because they didn't know. They didn't know. So here's our last theory. 1953. I know another 1953 one. Another theory surfaced that the victim's name could have been Clarabella Dronkers. She had been killed by a German spy ring consisting of a British officer, a Dutchman, and a music hall artist for knowing too much information. But there's no records and evidence to support this story. I think the closest one to understanding who exactly this is Margaret Murray's theory. And the reason I think so is because if you read into some of the occult, a lot of their rituals happen outside, and a lot of them happen near trees. And the Hand of Glory ritual, I've actually read about, and it seems very realistic to this case. But I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. Tell me what you think. Tell me who you think Bella is in the comments down below. Don't forget to add another true crime case of whatever you want me to cover next. I am open. Send me all the strange stories. Send me them all. I will see you guys in next week's. Is this my Friday episode? I don't know. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye, guys.